Good morning and welcome back to the 2022 World Games. It's the final day of pool play here in the flying disc competition, and we will ramp up over the course of the day. The evening session tonight has the potential to be absolutely epic. The sun is shining. Expect another scorcher of a Thursday here in Alabama, and we are getting you set for the first game of the day between Great Britain and the surprise of the tournament, Team Germany. We're back in blue here at our game day set with Daryl Stanley, Megan Tormey. I am Evan Lepler. We've seen 8 games so far, and we have seen plenty of surprises. There are 3 teams right now that are 2-0, and all 3 of those have already qualified for the semifinals. That would be 2-0 Germany, 2-0 Australia, 2-0 Colombia. Daryl, we were talking last night about the common threads between the undefeated teams over the first 48 hours of the tournament.
I think it's reps together. We saw Colombia. I mean, they've been planning this for 10 years, right? Same players, same system. 6 out of the 7 female matching players are the same from the very last tournament. Nobody else is boasting that kind of continuity. Germany said that they took it very, very seriously. They've been training together for 9 months. That's a lot more than a lot of these teams with similarly sized geographic area to cover. They said, no, we're going to make sure we get together. Australia, too, they play in their off season. They make sure that in the club season, they're playing mixed ultimate every year. USA, Germany, here, like, this was the upset of the tournament. This was unbelievable to us. It started off, we knew it was going to be crazy when we had that 14 turnover point on the second USA 0 point of the game. We had a centering pass go awry, and Germany said, thank you, and I'll have more.
And it certainly deserves to be qualified as an upset, but there was nothing fluky about the performance from Germany. They were far more ready to play, Megan, and they showed against Canada on day 1 and especially against USA on day 2.
Certainly, it was an upset in that pre-tournament expectations were that the talent from USA could not be matched. Germany came in with individuals who have fantastic skills. Clearly, they were in prime shape to play at the extent of their abilities, and then the unity that Daryl was talking about just was unmatched by any team they have seen so far. Anytime defenses started to clamp down, you watch the German offense just throw as many small passes as they needed to get ahead of the defense. It left teams that were ill-prepared reeling for a solution.
USA made a late push in this game, but Germany just continued to have the answers. A great performance from Nico Müller and Stefan Doscher, and we talked a lot yesterday about Lena Trautmann, her big playmaking ability, along with the steadiness of Lev Gavalchek and Anna Gerner and Nikki Priyan. This German team is for real.
Absolutely. I love seeing the consistency of them playing 1 through 7, strong team defense. That's something that was just incredibly unique, and that celebration there just showed just the unity of that group.
The biggest win in the history of German Ultimate on the international level, and of course it only gets bigger. This morning's game is interesting because Germany has already clinched Pool A. They will be the #1 seed that will take on the loser of the Colombia-Australia game in the semifinals tomorrow. WIFDF has actually sent out a little memorandum to all 8 teams reminding everyone of a deep rule in the WIFDF rulebook, the competitive play rule, which basically states you are required to compete to try and score every point or to try to prevent your opponent from scoring. We didn't think we'd see any shakiness, but the WIFDF is willing to impose sanctions if that is not obeyed. I think Germany will play its best game today, but there's an interesting perspective and perhaps a case to be made that they should take it easy because this game doesn't really matter.
I mean, you always have your second and third defensive looks in your pocket. I wouldn't be surprised if they ran some zone. I don't think that means they're capitulating at any point. I think that means they're saying, hey, let's focus on us and see what we can bring.
I would imagine that playing time would be pretty even, which happens naturally in a tournament where you have only 14 players. But it probably alleviates a lot of pressure on Nico Müller to relax a little bit, knowing he doesn't have to be the one to always generate the offensive momentum. He can take a step back if necessary, which isn't, again, not to say that Germany is not going to try to score every point. It just means that other players can step up and be more of playmakers in this game against Great Britain.
Watch Nico Mueller go out there and have like 9 assists now.
I mean, I would also not be surprised if that
Lefka plays 10 to the points.
That could happen very naturally just as well.
Speaking of Nico, after their upset over the Americans yesterday, he joined us at our game day, said he was incredibly composed and measured and poised, similar to his performance on the field. Have a listen at some of his comments from after the USA win yesterday.
Just a lot is that we had a lot of time for preparation and a lot of time of playing together and getting chemistry together, and it really pays off in that first 2 games. We struggled sometimes here against the US, but overall I'm very happy with the performance of the offense and how we keep the chemistry. I think we saw yesterday and today that we can play against that team, and we had some sloppy mistakes that we made on offense. But I think we had a lot of trust that we can play, even though they managed to get 2 breaks in a row, I think. I don't quite remember, but we knew that we can play against them, and that gave us a lot of trust.
So Germany knows it's headed to the semifinals tomorrow against the loser of Colombia and Australia. Meanwhile, it had to be a restless night for the Americans, particularly the coaching staff. Maddie Sang, Miranda Roth-Knowles, and Patrick Sherlock. They've got a must-win, do-or-die game against Team Canada later today. I know the 3 of us spent a lot of time talking, venting, thinking about what USA can do to right the ship. Where do you want to start?
It's got to come down to offense. With that many talented players, let's have us throw straight to people's midsections. We don't need to try to make a home run throw. We don't need to try to score in one pass. Let's just work it across the field. That's what the Colombians and the Germans have shown is the most successful. And Australia, too. I don't want to take away from their offense.
Yeah, I think that has been the shocker, is that they've been making very correctable mistakes, and they made them throughout the game with Germany. Passes that were thrown without setting the feet, so they flew just a little too high for the intended receiver. Obviously, the other big thing I think USA needs to do is dial in their decision making. You know, oftentimes they would look upfield, see someone who was cutting towards the end zone, and fire without really thinking if this was necessarily the correct shot to make.
It's a similar feeling for the United States with 5 years ago at the last World Games when they lost a pool play game to Colombia. They needed to beat Canada. In that case, they only had 4 hours to prepare. Alex Guesquieras reflected, saying that was the most difficult challenge of his entire head coaching career. We shall see if Maddie Sang, Patrick Sherlock, and Miranda Roth-Knowles can get this USA team back together. It's going to be a fascinating process, and we'll see how the Americans fare against Canada. From the Great Britain perspective, they're coming into this morning's game against Germany just trying to get on the board. And look, Great Britain has been the king of European Ultimate for a very long time. The men who play for Clapham, like Justin Ford and Ashley Yo and Ollie Gordon, have a lot of experience beating Germany. And they're out to try and prove that the tables haven't quite turned just yet.
I think we saw Ashley Yo was unable to play the first game. He was a little bit sick, and he made his debut yesterday, and it really made a huge impact. I think he had 5 combined goals and assists. An incredible performance. Seeing him come back and seeing Justin Ford played well both days, and I thought the ladies stepped up in a big way yesterday.
Yeah, similarly, though, we saw from Canada's side that out of the 26 goals and assists scored, 16 of them were by females. And so I think Great Britain's female matching players are going to have to step up the game, because we have seen from Germany that their female matching players are incredibly dominant and will take advantage if Great Britain's women are not ready to play today.
Great Britain and Germany to begin the final quadruple header of pool play here at the World Games. And while this game does not matter in the standings, it certainly does in the picks contest that we have informally held. Germany or Great Britain, Daryl, who you got?
I'm going to say Great Britain, and not because Germany didn't try their best. There won't be a non-competitive situation, but I feel like taking their time, working in different sets, should mean that the Great Britons will come out and just go firing. They'll play whatever line and throw it up to whoever they need to get those goals.
I'm going to say Germany, because I feel like their systems have proved so infallible that even if they switch up players a little bit to even out playing time, this is going the way of Germany.
I agree with Megan. I'm going to take Germany and leave Daryl on an island here, but it's going to be interesting, especially let's say one German player tweaks a hamstring or tweaks an ankle early in the game. Does that change the mindset? And do they keep playing to win, or do they just play to get through this game and try be at 100%, which would be understandable as they head to the semifinals tomorrow? We are excited to start this full day of competition here at the World Games. And what's this, a little cloud cover cooling us off a little bit. Hopefully that is present throughout the day. Let's get you to the duo that will call the action. Tom Stiles and Hannah Pendlebury, Great Britain and Germany, to begin day 3 of Flying Disc here at the World Games.
Every 4 years, there is a new opportunity. A chance for the world's best players to take center stage. A chance for glory, for teamwork, for upsets, for gold. 8 countries are sending their 14 finest to Birmingham, Alabama for the opportunity to reach the pinnacle of ultimate. The 2022 World Games start right now.
Birmingham, Alabama, and the World Games Flying Disc competition continues. The final day of pool play, the final game for these two teams in the Pool A bracket. It's Great Britain and Germany. Now, you name a sport, and the Great Britain-Germany matchup is an age-old favourite, turning up all sorts of rivalries. Tom Stiles alongside Hannah Pendlebury. And these two teams, Hannah, have had an incredibly different journey to this end of Pool A.
They certainly have. Great Britain, unfortunately, not able to surmount a win here on the fields in Birmingham just yet. We do have some pretty solid stats leaders at the top of the board. Tom Abrams currently leading the charge with 8 to his name, but it's been a little bit of a tale of lacking connections. We've seen some excellent stuff from the likes of Nick Williams and Molly Wedge, who are our players to watch for this match. But let's have a look a little bit at the German side in a bit. And
yes.
You see Dosha there, having had an excellent game yesterday. The analysts ahead of the game were talking a little bit about how Germany might play this one a little bit soft. But with such a short roster, with 14 superstars who are the giant killers of this tournament, I can't really see them taking this one easy.
No, Stefan Doscher have been really impressive. And down the female matching side of the line as well, Anna Gerner and alongside Lena Trautmann had a fantastic game. And in the opener, the unstoppable Levka Volchek was just in a different class. Stefan Reckett, the coach, alongside his coaching team, have really prepared this team so well, and they look like a force to be reckoned with. People were talking about the Germans in a positive way before the tournament, but nobody expected them to go 2-0 against USA and Canada.
Talking to their defensive coach, Nico Müller, ahead of this match, it was sort of the question was raised of, what are you doing to kind of bring the excitement back down after beating Team USA yesterday? And they've not done anything different. They're just going to come out here and do their thing.
So we're underway with a big pull that's sailed out of bounds from Fiona Kwan. Mixed ultimate, 7 on the field at a time. You have 4 of one gender and 3 of the other, and that alternates every 2 points as well. So starting off this game, it'll be 4 women on the field, and then the next point will be 4 men on the field, and then they'll swap every 2 points after that. But in the backfield for Germany, Gerner gets the disc back. That's coming across. not able to find them. Good pressure from Great Britain to stop these first 3 options out of that centre. Nico Muller. Good movement from Gerner. Gets it across to Nico Muller again. Gerner going every other at the moment. This is a sort of role she's used to playing. Incredible persistence with her cuts. And all the throws, just that reset. Volchek available again. Looks downfield, sees Molly Wedge poaching in the lane. Volchek sets it off across the field. Good switching of defenders from Great Britain. Muller, front corner, just pops it into the space, and it's collected in stride by Samuel Boyton-Muller. An opening clean hold for the German offence, looking very efficient.
Yeah, nice and easy does it there. I do like the matchups we're seeing on the field, especially Yo and Muller there. The 220 shirts matching up against each other. But that was just nice and simple stuff for Team Germany. An easy pop into the path of Boyton-Muller for the goal, and just a nice start. Nice and clean, and a good switching from Team GB's women on the matchups for Volchek and Gerner. Actually, Gerner played the European Championships, Tom, in Bruges, Belgium last year with a wrist brace on. So she plays for club team Jinx, who will be appearing at the World Club Championships in a little while. But yeah, what a gritty player.
Yeah, Great Britain finishing bottom of the pool, and this game is academic to that fact. They've lost to both the other teams that they may end up in a head-to-head with if they do win this. So they are playing for pride, and the challenge for them really is to connect their different styles of play. They've not looked like a whole team. The Germans desperately trying to avoid any injury in what we say is an academic game for them.
And it's also maintaining the form. They need to execute and keep their stream running.
And they're pushing Great Britain hard, but a good cut, deep shot. Ellie Taylor, the target, collects in stride. That's the sort of offence that Great Britain would have been practising on the training ground, but other teams have managed to break that down.
Of that little dish into the path, and Abrams has all the momentum to loz it deep for Ellie Taylor. You can see she manages to sneak free of Lena Trautmann, one of the best defenders for the German side, unable to make a play for it with both 2 defenders breathing down the neck.
It's Taylor was one of the players that Great Britain were so excited to talk up in the run-up to this tournament, and don't know what the situation is, but she'd really not had an impact up until that point. That was the first. We're talking about
the lack of sort of cohesion in the British side. I think it's they haven't had as many reps together, certainly not as much as Team Germany. But Taylor's such an impressive player. I remember watching her with Black Eagles going toe-to-toe with AMP at World Clubs in 2018. They didn't quite have the athleticism to hang tough in the second half, but Taylor is such an exciting athlete, and I'm sure she'll go on to many more things because she's a very, very young person.
Yeah, Ellie Taylor. It's the disc on the far side of the field collected by Nikki Prien. Flick up the line. It's not gone, and resets to Gerner. Volchek. Volchek's put it way in front of Gerner. That goes to the turf. And an opportunity for Great Britain to get a break here.
Yeah, nice pressure from Wedge, really forcing that big around swing that goes and dies.
Lakes hurls it into the end zone. Yo, the target, takes it high, making it look simple. A break to Great Britain, and a throwaway from Levka Volchek.
Well, I mean, I don't really want to say it's too much of a throwaway. Is the big mark from Wedge forcing that really deep pass. A rare error. We're talking about, with this game ahead of it, will the German offensive line be broken? Because they had a flawless execution on their opener against Canada. And turns out, Tom, they are humans after all. They are fallible.
We saw them turn over the disc 3 times against the USA yesterday. Let me just check that statistic. I don't want to give anybody bad information. That would not be good.
But GB finding targets in the form of Ashley Yo once again. Stats fourth on the stats board, having only played one match. Just shows how pivotal the captain is, having come out of the University of Sussex. And Buitenmuller there, the number 18, missing his brother, Holger. Although realistically, I don't think... I mean, Holger Buitenmuller is an incredible player and a big difference maker, but Team Germany have recovered so well from losing him and having to take the alternate.
Yeah, the entire of this tournament, the O-line have turned over 4 times yesterday, and they were broken each time by the USA. And that was their 5th turnover of the tournament for the German O-line, but they're flowing nicely now. Nico Müller feeds the disc forward to Doscher. Throw with either hand, and this time he floats it forward, but Molly Wedge reacts quickly, takes it away from Anna Gerner.
That's a smart off-poach in the space there. Molly Wedge putting on the invisibility cloak and making that D.
Link goes back around the backfield. Good cross cut from Lakes. Sorry, that's Williams. Big gaining shot. Link was going to really open up the shoulder. Good repositioning defense from Simona Libert. The huge ranging reach, preventing that pass. And this time Link looking again. Libert there. Going to be an interesting matchup there. Ollie Gordon. And this is the role we see Link play so much of the time, anchoring the handling line. Ellie Taylor coming out of the deep space. Nico Müller riding on the back of Tom Abrams. Happy to give him a ride. Shrugs that off. No call. Inside, floating forward. Molly Wedge going to have to bid. She doesn't quite get there. It was a visionary disc. It was the right idea. Just did not quite hang in the air long enough for Wedge.
You can see she put everything into it, though. A nice shot from Naden. Does put it into a beautiful space, but you can just see that slight delay on the launch from Molly Wedge, and putting her body on the line and going to great efforts. You see she has to pull the mast down there to get a little bit more oxygen.
Gerner for Germany. They'll really want to clear up this defence, and contact made. Call from Samuel Buitenmuller against Nick Williams, uncontested or accepted. Tap back in. Going around the back here, and Gerner. We see the 3 handlers for Germany isolating so often, and big gaining shot. Simona Libert cuts across the field.
It's nice to see Libert back on the field. She was actually absent for the game against the US yesterday.
Big shot going downfield. It's going to roll away from Nikki Priyan. She didn't see it early enough that which edge was down. So hard when the disc comes over your head to be able to judge which way it's going to slide away. And Priyan reacts too late. Another turnover.
Well, this is really interesting here. We're seeing the Germans not quite finding their form. That disc sitting and hanging and fading away from Nikki Priyan. Difficult to run that one down, but certainly today is not the day for her to make a hero bid on that one.
Ollie Gordon. Link and Abrams. Oh, threading the needle there as the German defence closed up, but a reception error from Ollie Gordon.
I love that little celebration of the defence from Buitenmuller, the little fist going, yes, that was me, that was my pressure. But the Germans do want this. They're not looking quite as finessed, but they are gunning for it.
Gerner. Little pancake pass back. big gainer on the break side to Binovice, who just pops it in the front corner. They make it look simple this time round. The Germans holding at 2 apiece. Not the clean ultimate we saw from them earlier in the game, but they're still doing enough.
They certainly are, Tom. I'm really enjoying the matchup of Ellie Taylor and Kyoko Binovice, formerly known as Hosokawa. Just really excellent work from Taylor, shutting down those deep attempts. Get another look at that error from Ollie Gordon. Rare for him, the former next-gen superstar. I know the US team were delighted to play against him. But the goal for Priyan, nice and simple stuff.
Just trying to put this game into context. Both of these teams have their fate out of the pool has already decided, but they've got a lot to play for. Great Britain will desperately want to recover from a poor start and finish strongly in the 5 to 8 bracket.
And 5th in the world is not bad. And to play against the calibre that we're seeing at the top at this tournament, I mean, for fans of Germany, this game is currently looking a little bit unsettling. Yes, I know they might be playing a little bit softer. They're not going for the same bids. We're seeing them throughout the rest of the games, but they are currently peaking at this tournament. They've chosen the moment correctly, and we don't want to see them be caught sleeping in their semi-final matchup.
Ford opens up the flick, sends it downfield, big chase, big bid, and Ashley Yo comes up empty-handed from the turf as the Germans get going quickly and landing awkwardly there, immediately with the hands behind the head. Is that Katharina Schulze as she jumped down? As she caught an ankle?
Well, the nice thing is that Schulze is walking off the field, the Yogo Bonito player. Fun fact, so Yogo Bonito on the European Fun Circuit is a club team made out of excellent players, likes of Schulze there, known as Hugo, back on our home continent. But there are nearly a full line of Yogo Bonito players. Can you spot who the 6 are at home?
It's a game for the people at home.
You can well, perhaps you, Tom, but you can at us on Twitter.
Gerner. Big disc high, and the pressure from Ford. The quick pop pass, no, sends it around the second time. High grab from Wedge, reacting quickly. The pressure counts for Great Britain, getting the disc back and putting it in.
Yeah, Molly Wedge going straight to work to get that goal punched in. Pretty, well, considering that neither team are giving us that many looks at perfect holds, it's quite rapidly moving through this game.
Is that big put from Justin Ford, just didn't hang in the air long enough. Look at the form here. Lay, landing, but just didn't come up with the disc. No doubt Yo will throw himself at everything, but quick reactions and a certain pass into the end zone for Wedge.
And as we see Wedge bring that score down, it's the same thing that happened to her with that flick inside off of Rachel Naden. It's the launch isn't quite soon enough. They're trying to run it down with the legs, but actually committing to the bid a little bit sooner might have seen that one come off for Yo. He had waited until the disc was quite low from the ground. So we'll see if they can get a block again. Currently, GB sitting 1 break of score up.
Abrams with a towering pull. Is this going to stay in? It is. Floated towards the back corner and it just drifts out the back of the end zone. Just to clarify the pull rules, disc that lands inbounds and stays inbounds has to be played from where it lands. If it lands inbounds and rolls out, which is quite often a situation at the back of the end zone, it can be brought to the front of the end zone. If it flies out of the side or the back of the field, then it's brought to the brick mark, which is what's happening right now for Nico Muller. And that's 18-metre of advantage.
And central field position. You can do what you like off a pool play here. See what Team Germany does.
Gerner's available on the reset. The 217 shirts of Link and Gerner. A good matchup. Ollie Gordon taking care of business, making Muller run the extra yards on that reset cut. Buitenmuller Lots of space on this near side of the field for Voldvogel to collect. And a run through, just too casual from the Germans. And Ben Barak with another D to his name. Blocks in both the Canadian and USA games for Barak. Now one in this German matchup as well. Gordon holsters that first shot into the end zone. Link busts down the line, but it's going to go back across to Abrams. Out of the stack now. Or is another option across field and into the end zone to find an open Nick Williams. Little bit casual from the Germans there on offense and on defense.
But JB are taking advantage this morning. Nick Williams there with the goal. The youngster coming out from Manchester, 30 years of age, normally plays, well, typically had played his ultimate for Chevron Action Flash, and now coming here into the mixed division and playing for Smog. As we see that run through from Ben Barak, who did such great effort in the USA game, but GB just weren't able to convert. But this time they come out to the good with a bit of fancy footwork from Williams.
A lot of talk about the Clapham connections, but Barak and Williams, for me, have been a huge part of this, the male matching line for Great Britain.
They certainly have. And I'm really enjoying seeing Barak coming out on the field. He was a little bit quiet for GB in the 2019 championships in Gjør, but the former Air Badger, been playing for a very, very long time, a full 17 years. See him there hustling on the D-line with Justin Ford, the household name of Great British Ultimate.
When we talk about O-line and D-lines, generally teams will have specialists that will go out when they're receiving discs and specialists that will go out when they're chasing down the disc. But because here at World Games we only have 14 players, most of the players will be playing across both those lines depending on how the games are going. So it's a much different setup than we'd see at the usual big tournament. It's Germany that are out here at the moment. They are on offense.
Well, speaking about, as we get that stoppage for the pick, the 47, just on the left of your screen, Konrad Schleur, plays for his club, Wall City. On the D-line most of the time, but in those crunch situations, he's so good at offense, he's so good at executing. They bring him across to make sure they punch those goals in. But defense wins games, Tom. And right now, GB have the edge.
Nikki Priyan centres to Volchuk. Schleur on the far side. Priyan continues the cut. It's going to be into the end zone. Doscher just drifts away from the mark. And a disc across the whole of the field floats into his path.
You see Stefan Doscher looking almost dismayed to have scored, but actually it's the disc has been tacoed at some point during that play. Which just means it's, well, pretty much what it says on the tin. It's been bent out of shape. Just shows the intensity with which these teams are playing out here on the fields. A visionary put from Konrad Schleur. I don't know who it was that was tasked with matching up against Doscher, but you cannot leave the young man from Karlsruhe for a second out on these fields.
That's the first clean hold since the opening point of the game for the German offensive line. So it's a completely different, this game means a different. It's not part of their winning the tournament story, if you like. So the Germans are approaching the game differently, and you can't blame them for that. They have to compete, but they're going to be competing in a different way. They might try some things out. They might try some connections. They're probably not going to want to show their cards or give scouting, but this timeout call is a chance for them to just rethink what they're doing a little bit. They need to maintain the intensity.
And certainly the weather forecast for today, it is a little bit less sunny than we've seen it. Clouds currently showing their faces, but that oppressive humidity is really what you have to try and battle against out here on the fields as well as your opposition. But nothing to say of the wind allowing those passes over the top, which we just saw from the palm of Konrad Schleur. We get a nice little shot there of the Waterboy coach. That's Sam Weil for GB.
Yeah, Sam Weil, an incredibly well-decorated and talented mixed player himself.
Indeed, a gold medalist from, I forget exactly which year, but I just remember being at a party in Cambridge and drinking a beverage out of the large trophy they got when GB Mixed won that gold medal.
Trautmann for Germany. Gender with the most players on the field is always pulling, so we've got 4 women on the field. We have a female puller. It's a new rule into the game.
And the first tournament we've actually seen that rule being utilised at the WFTF level.
Link points one way, then cuts back the other. Called back by Spiegel. Wedge this time does connect with the hand. Abrams threatened the hammer. Back to Naden. Abrams continues the cut. Ollie Gordon. Poach off by Binovice, and a switch. Needs to reverse now as Naden has it on the far side. Back to Abrams, who keeps the energy going for Great Britain. Pop through the middle and back of the end zone. It's Ellie Taylor. I'm not sure if she was the target. It was threaded between 2 attacking German players, but it's come up in British hands.
Yeah, Taylor there getting out the bin bags and collecting the trash for her side. An offensive hold, though, and a clean one here. We're going to another look at that one and have a look, see who the intended target perhaps was. But Taylor delighted to get another stat on the board. Currently 2 scores in this game.
Look at the action here. This is Molly Wedge. Determined. She bounced off the turf. It's a hard surface down there. Yeah, Link was the target. Brilliant awareness from Taylor. And there was a backup as well. It was definitely going to finish in British hands.
The Germans are doing a great job of focusing on where the disc is, where the play is actively happening. The switching and moving around, generally speaking, is working well, but it comes unstuck a little bit there. But it's great to see Wedge out here on the field. First national side representation, the youngster originally from Halifax, Canada. But such a capable athlete. Watching her and Link at the the UK Nationals finals last season in Nottingham, they were just such a delight to watch to play together. Not seen them connect so much here on the fields in Birmingham, but I'm sure they'll be delightful to watch at World Clubs.
Kwon gets us underway and into the hands of the German offense. Flick forward. Different look from the Germans, and it's not worked out for them. Normally they've been isolating the handlers. There they were playing a more traditional horizontal stack, and it's come up with British hands. Ford darting around, receives the disc back. Out of the stack comes a hard run from Lakes. Lakes pops it over the top. It's got a really rough edge on it though, and it goes down. Wedge pointing to where she wanted it.
Yeah, not the ideal execution from Lakes there. It must be mixed feelings for Alex Lakes. This is actually his last tournament playing Ultimate Frisbee at the elite level. He's decided to retire after this event here at the World Games.
So, brilliant way to end your international career.
So highly decorated he is as well.
Comes to mark now as the Germans continue their possession with Beutenmuller. Across the field now to Binovice. Doscher cuts up the line and collects. Now to Gerner, this is better. Oh, looks off the middle pass to Beutenmuller, goes across the field. Libert makes no mistake. Throws herself down at the disc. Beutenmuller resets to the centre of the field. Gerner on the brick mark. Dishes it back. Muller, and it's read really well. Brilliant reaction, defence from Ben Barak. He saw the threat. He was off to the races. Even the hint of that throw is going to come, and Barak had committed. And he got the reward, got the disc in his hand. He sends it deep, Wedge underneath this. But Beutenmuller rises, using the extra leap, extra step. And I think Wedge slightly too underneath the disc as well.
A good execution, but great from the defence. Wedge really had to go up early and try and attack it as the Germans now attack the end zone.
Gerner trying to lead Binnerweiss in. Good reaction defense from Link to prevent that continuation pass. Gerner threatens the around. Surrounded by red shirts. And a pick has been called. First pick of the game. It's been a nice flowing game of ultimate.
Well, it just shows the quality at this level.
It's a loud call.
So a stall out. Gerner had looked off a lot of different options because of that Great Britain defence. Resets now to Muller. Muller throws ahead of the 17 shirt. Muller. Muller throws it, floats it. Gerner, plenty of time. Couldn't believe how much time she had. I think she was preparing to get some sort of block coming through from behind, but there was no one there. And that is a hold for Germany. But those two turnovers from each side shows that the nerves and the pressure and the defense is adding up into this game.
Yeah, Gerner there having absolutely ruined Carla Link. No one near her. Just sometimes you just give up a little bit because you know that it's not worth, you're not going to be able to get a play without lattering into the players. But that's a great D from Karen Kwok, going full stretch to steal the disc away from Kia Binnerweiss, who I have to say is a rapid player. So great creds to making that play. And that first miscued throw, oh no, it's not the miscued throw, but great pressure from Beutenmüller, making Wedge have to go up early to try and oust the height advantage he has.
I think it's testament, just coming back to the way we're seeing the German offense work. We see Gerner, when she's playing in her women's team, she is that centre cog of the offensive line. And the fact that she's playing the same role in a mixed team, that's not an accident, but that takes work. To get those players working as a unit, that shows the cohesion that we've talked about this German side have got. It's brilliant to see them using their best players the way they know how to play best. Yo cranks the arm, sends it down. Abrams rises, gets great position ahead of the German defender, and a hammer across to Taylor, collects a third point of the game. Scoring it all for Ellie Taylor.
Yeah, the Scot all over the stats board for GB, currently playing her club ultimate with Iceni. As I said previously, a Black Eagles player, so a mixed pedigree for sure. Abrams there, not so much of a mixed player himself, but going to work here for Great Britain. As we said, coming into today, the stats leader for the entire tournament. And you can see why there. He just has the confidence to make those plays. He's been really calm. I haven't really seen him be shaken at any point during the games, even when GB have been down by quite solid margins. So perhaps age and experience, not necessarily the worst thing to have on a World Games team, Tom.
It's always great to have experience, and Abrams assists, exactly the sort of thing you'd expect to see.
And not only has he got the experience in terms of playing years, because he picked up the sport of ultimate frisbee at college, but also it's the number of big game opportunities, that experience of, you know, the must-win situations, playing under that hot defence. You don't necessarily see all the time on your club level. But a bit of rain keeping things interesting now.
See the Germans setting up with a side stack. The water you can see on the camera. Good work from Germans in Doscher. Change of conditions under feet. Teams will have to adapt. Muller coming back and needing to find a reset, does. Vogel managing to get the disc back.
Yeah, just talking a little bit about the side stack we're seeing coming out of the poles for Germany. It's really giving them a lot of space. When they run out of room on their side that they're attacking, they can just nice and easily swing it to the other side of the field and do the same thing again to advance yards.
Downfield. Gerner flies. Great form on that layout. Muller got Gerner on the reset, but a big yard gainer. Horschenmeyer. Doscher with the lefty dish. Muller. Gerner's available. Intelligent play from Great Britain, just sagging off Anna Gerner, creating a distraction for the player with the disc. But there's the risk if you do leave her alone. She's a threat, really intelligent to position herself just outside the end zone. The disc comes across. She jumps, takes the grab, and then dances the toes into the other side of the line. First point of contact is what matters, and that is a point for Anna Gerner and a point for Germany.
You can see the seriousness, almost a severe expression on Anna Gerner's face, who is a person that is rarely seen without a smile. So she's clearly here to do business. She say, I liked the approach off that Karen Kwok was doing, which we might get treated to a little bit, but great receptions from the number 17 for Germany. And used to say, just hanging around, sleuthing by the line for the end zone and tiptoeing yourself in. The two-time Euro star making easy work out here on the fields. So another clean hold. We're just sort of finding the rhythm of this match. GB, of course, still up those 2 breaks. See if the Germans can put a little bit of fire under themselves. Otherwise, they could see GB take this half quite comprehensively.
Yeah, it's a game to 13. We'll take a half when the first team reaches 7 points. And in the second half, Great Britain will be coming out with the disc. So if Great Britain score this offensive point, cleanly or otherwise, then they will have a point either side of the half. And they'll have the disc coming out in the second half. So big advantage as we see more rain and perhaps looking for that first pass, dropping the pull.
Oh, that's when you're going to watch back with gritted teeth for sure.
Swings it across. Spiegel. Falchuk. Cutting up the line, Spiegel. Reset available. High stall count. Gets it across. Falchuk cuts. Front corner. Spiegel waits. And a break back to Germany. They've levelled it up at 6 apiece.
Yeah, Sebastian Spiegel there. Bringing in the goal. Ice in the veins of Levka Volchak. The storm must have been getting very, very high when she found Doscher. But wonderful stuff from the number 5 for the German side, currently residing in Lanzarote, but managing to come in. But what a devastating start to that point for Team GB. Just a gift given to the Germans.
And the gutting thing about dropping a pull is it's a bad thing, but if you do it at the World Games, you get 2 chances to see the replay. There's one angle of Carla Link dropping the pull. There's the other one. Just coming in hot. Apologies.
But I like the body language and the facial expression from Link. So we get another little look at that stifling defence. Just a little find of Spiegel on the front corner. But for Link there, I like the kind of, not putting the hands on the face, not kind of sitting too long, immediately looking around and finding the matchup for the defence. But a rare error for such an experienced player, having come through the GB juniors side and taking a little bit of a break, a little bit of a step back from Ultimate. But she's now back at this elite level, showing us exactly what she can do.
Great Britain in the red shirts, back on their own end zone line as the Germans come out in a zone. Spiegel taking away the up shot and a deep disc going downfield. Ellie Taylor the target, Konrad Schleur getting up and a big height mismatch.
Something very curious would have happened if Ellie Taylor had managed to best Konrad Schleur there, but I mean, we would have loved to have seen it.
Schleur an extra 10 inches taller. Those powerful ballet dancer legs lifting him up into the air for the block. Big disc downfield for Germany now, chasing it down to 2 options, and Schleur goes both ends of the field for double happiness and a break to take the half. They've really found their feet, capitalising on Great Britain's errors, and the Germans, you just cannot count them out. they've looked a little bit iffy in this first half, but they finished strong.
Ironically enough, not the Germans firing themselves up necessarily, but I think them sort of getting a little bit like, oh, a drop pull, oh, we'll put that in, and then suddenly, let's go and get a block and then just do something a bit different. I like that adjustment. I like the zone, trying to change the rhythm of the defence, and just getting a bit baited off. Konrad Schlog turning on the Jets and making the play for his side. But what a way to take half for Germany. 3 on the bounce. They seem to have woken up now, Tom. They've had their Weetabix on the sideline, and they're ready to play the rest of this game.
Just looking at the weather and how that's going to affect the rest of this game. You can see the umbrellas are up in the stands. No wind, really. We've had a very still week here at the flying disc competition at the World Games in Alabama. But the rain on the surface will create slips. And the second half of this game may be very, very interesting indeed. Germany finishing strong. Will they start strong in the second half? We'll be back with more in just a second.
The last 50 years have seen a lot of positive change
around a whole range of important issues.
And some things remain reassuringly unchanged.
Like the spirit of our game.
Ultimate is 50 years young
and still a perfect circle
of fair play,
athletic pursuit,
and camaraderie.
In fact, Ultimate was a social network
before social networks even existed.
Respetamos nuestras diferencias
and understand the value that they add.
The revolution of the disc in flight continues to prove
that there's nothing we can't achieve
when we
pull together.
Long live Ultimate.
Larga vida Ultimate.
Long live Ultimate.
Well, for the first time here at the World Games Flying Disc Competition, the skies have opened up a bit, and hence we have relocated ever so slightly to the left underneath the umbrella that the World Games have politely put out for us. We just have a quick couple minutes, but for a while it looked like Germany was just kind of going through the motions. It was going to be the game where everybody wins. Germany escapes unscathed, gets to the semifinals. Great Britain gets a win. What happened with Germany at the end of that half? They took charge.
I would say that the Great Britain team, unfortunately, had some just unforced errors. Throwing over the very last break, we saw a throw over the top in a deep zone, to a different gender matchup. It's really unfortunate and definitely preventable. And then, of course, dropping a pole is like the worst thing that you could possibly have. I feel so sorry for Great Britain that happened. But I really do appreciate, though, that the Germans are still playing their top players. We were worried about that, and that doesn't seem to be the case anymore.
No, and it does highlight how essential Nico Müller is to the success of the German offense, his ability to just slice through defenses and keep the disc moving. Up until the last couple of points, it looked like Great Britain had an answer. They were kind of clamping down on those break throws down the side, and then tightening up their person on the open lane, and Germany was kind of struggling for easy tosses.
How would you characterize the energy on the sidelines in that first half?
It felt like there was a lot riding on it, personally, right? Great Britain was all hype all the time.
All right, Tom and Hannah with the second half. GB and Germany.
Second half action from the World Games flying disc competition. This Pool A matchup, and the heavens have opened. And both teams up for a wet game of ultimate. The surface will get slick. We may see the disc become more difficult to control, both on the throw and the catch. And Link jamming it through the middle of the field. And this German zone. Naden in a lot of space. Ashley Yo floats it down the field and gets a foot tapped back in from Nick Williams to level it up at 7 apiece. And a perfect start to the second half. I've got Hannah Pendlebury alongside me. Do you think Great Britain will be looking to make any adjustments in the second half, Hannah?
No, I think they're just going to continue to try and find the rhythm and just clean up those unforced errors. We saw a drop pull at the latter stage of the first half, which the Germans seem to capitalise on. And you can see them there coming out in a zone defence look to try and make GB throw more and more passes, especially as the disc becomes wet and slippery. A 50-50 kind of look for conversions for offence and defence for GB in that first half. So they definitely have a room to improve, polish and clean things up, but Team Germany really need to just focus right now and execute. They were not really playing the ideal level in the first half of this game, but this is at this stage, I think you've got to focus on preparing for the bracket. You know, certainly the issue of slipperiness on the field is going to be a concern with the weather now turning against us. The weather has been very hot and humid, so the rain coming down the surface might cause some slippery business for Team Germany and GB here.
Great Britain setting up in a zone now. We see the 4 red shirts around the disc. The players beyond that trying to pick up the threats and prevent big across-field passes. Resetting back. Dosha. Buitenmuller. Great Britain move into a one-on mark, but the player with the disc is unmarked. Justin Ford now coming to take up defensive duties. Best to keep the deepest players covered first, and then gradually make sure everybody's marked. And finally, the person with the disc, they're the only person on the field that actually can't score, so pick them up last.
And sometimes having no mark can do strange things. I play a zone called Moseltoff, which deliberately doesn't mark the player with the disc, and it causes all sorts of confusion.
Gerner for Germany. Frien goes for another cut after her pass to Buitenmuller. Nico Muller. Warm rain falls from the Alabama skies. The Germans continue their steady progress towards the end zone. Dosha cuts up the line, receives the disc in full flight. Jink back from Volchek just outside the edge of the end zone. They look threatening here. Muller cutting. Can he find a way through? Floats it into the end zone, and Ben Barak frustratedly finishes on the floor. Nico Muller with a goal.
Yeah, Muller and Barak going toe-to-toe, and Barak just slipping, losing his footing. And Muller takes full advantage.
Volchuk takes the time, takes the patience. And then was it a lefty shot into the end zone? Clever to have all this versatility. The rain is coming down hard. And this last pool game is going to be heavy rain, no lightning that we know of. But if you want to watch the semis and finals of this tournament, they are exclusively on the Olympic channel tomorrow and Saturday, beginning at 4 p.m. US Central Time, both days. And that is the place to watch. Also, if you're enjoying the Ultimate, you want to watch more, from July 23rd to the 30th, the WFDF and ultiworld.com are proud to present the World Ultimate Club Championships from Cincinnati. 128 teams, 40 countries. And if you want to subscribe to that, go to ultiworld.com. The finals will be available here for free on the Olympic channel. Miscommunication from Great Britain. The disc goes to the turf. Germany with a chance.
Great stuff off a big pull by Lena Trautmann, who's been a little bit quiet this game, but so solid for the bigger matchups for the German side.
Absolutely pouring down. Volchuk up the line. Spiegel across the end zone, needing to come out of the rain. The contact on the disc wasn't good. Maybe the hands were the wrong way round.
He's thinking too much about scoring with his feet, wasn't he? He didn't think about making the catch. But we've all been there.
Williams advances quickly. The disc comes out of the hand too fast. Again, the slippy surface on the disc causing problems for both these teams. This change of conditions, which team is this going to play into the advantage of, Hannah?
Oh, it's got to be Great Britain. We're renowned for our drizzly conditions.
This doesn't look like the sort of rain that Great Britain is used to. This looks like a deluge, doesn't it?
It's got a bit more of a tropical flavour.
It does.
But no, I think, well, it will just favour whoever can have the focus.
Spiegel, bin of ice, goes to the horizontal to keep that disc alive, but cannot contain it. Ollie Gordon and Tom Abrams connecting. Gordon continues, gets it down to Wedge. Gordon cuts deep, goes back round to Naden. Abrams available on the reset. Taylor, the disc is beyond her, stretching the play too much into the ground.
Now, hot work, Trautmann on the back shoulder there, really forcing Taylor to have to keep gunning for it.
Spiegel picks up, dries the disc, but it just comes out wobbly. That's the sort of thing that can happen when the disc is wet. Spiegel did the best with the shirt to try and remove the liquid on the surface of that disc, but the power got applied, the fingers came away, and it goes back to Great Britain. 1 point they're up. Could this be? And this will be a hold for them. They started on offense in this point. Abrams points to the end zone and another attempted flick.
Did that get hand blocked?
I don't know if there was a hand there or if that was just the rain. Maybe it was...
Very bizarre. Although I've noticed that the only player with gloves on the field right now is Molly Wedge. Not terrible look when you've got this level of wet.
Well, we saw in previous games, because of the temperature, players dousing themselves in water. But they're not having to do that manually anymore. The Skies have taken care of business. And maybe there's an option here for the teams, because the backhand is so much of an easier throw when it's so wet, to actually force players to throw the flick. We've already seen 3 flicks not come off because of the water, and but the Germans get it in. Spiegel in the end zone, and that is a break to Germany.
And very much needed. They did go down 2 at the beginning of the game, 2 GB, those 2 break backs to bring us on serve, but this is where it really counts for Team Germany, especially with the conditions now changing. They want to close this book quickly and go to well, I say go to bed. They're not going to be going to bed. They're going to be preparing for tomorrow's matchups. But nobody really wants to be elongating the game, apart from us, Tom.
We love any ultimates. Wonderful to see it. There's the impact that the weather is making. You see the disc. We've not seen that sort of throw in the first 2 days, the first 8 games of this tournament. Nobody's thrown a disc like that. You see it coming down so hard.
It's a tropical rainstorm, clearly. We did have a rain delay, or lightning delay yesterday. Thankfully, the weather gods seem to have favoured this match, but we might see some later.
Good pull from Germany, given the conditions. Starting deep, finding a way through.
Germany's giving lots of space to the GB handlers, just really pressuring the upfield options.
Very compressed field. Players needing to use shorter passes to keep the disc moving. Well, great reaction from Alex Lakes. Couldn't contain the first pass, but yeah, Germany forcing flick, and that is a hard throw given the conditions to make any sort of progress up the line. We've seen them go awry already. Quick 1-2s exchanged between Lakes and Yo. Into the end zone and wedges the target. Great Britain back within one.
You can see there, Wedge having ditched the mask. I imagine it's got to be really hard to breathe through in these conditions. Two of GB superstars hitting the same space, but great focus and heads up from Ash Yo there to just allow Wedge to do what she does best.
We've talked a little bit in mixed ultimate. One of the biggest threats that you've got with a deep shot to a female player, female matching player, is that there's a male player in the area that comes and takes away the deep shot. So great awareness as we see this deep shot go into Wedge. That was one of the things that the Canadians did so well yesterday. They created space by the men just getting out of the way and letting the women do the work. Yo, real awareness. Great Britain within one of the Germans here. And the Germans will play their game tomorrow in the semi-final.
They certainly will against Australia if they can. Well, you know, that should be determined, the final standings in Pool B. That game will happen later on this evening in the second window of games here in Birmingham, Alabama.
Yeah, they'll play at 6 p.m. local time tomorrow. And playing the first game of the morning here, they'll have a long time to break. Gerner. Rangy shot across the field. Muller connects with Doscher. Gerner available again. Dishes forward to Boyton Muller. Connection in the field. Doscher finishes on the soggy turf. Picks himself up. Naden and Prien. Prien played a couple of seasons of Ultimate in London and knows a lot of these Great Britain women well. Muller. And a violation. Feel the energy dropping out of the arena. The fans have got quiet. The players have got quiet.
It's a bit of a damp squib, really, isn't it? You can hear the sideline trying to G the players up.
Muller for Germany. Gerner bolting around. She's going to cut to that far side. Catches it in full flight. Looking for the follow-on cut, but it wasn't there. Great presence from the Great Britain defence. That's a floaty disc high in the air, but Volchak just positions herself, takes it out of the sky and brings it in. Excellent work.
Well, nice adjustment there, seeing the teams throwing dishy backhands as their swings. I really enjoyed that rangy throw, as you called it, Tom, across the field from Anna Gerner, rather than trying to hit the inside channel with the forehands, which makes it just so much easier on the players. But that was a bit of a lofty, hangy disc for Volchak to collect. So we'll get another look at the score replay.
That energy from Gerner going across field there.
Olchak there, the trust and faith being put in the teammate as we get to the latter stages of this pool play matchup. Of course, as we've said, you can see the signals there. Actually, we have had lightning within 10 kilometres of the field site, so both teams will now evacuate to safety within the locker rooms, and we will put this game on ice.
It's the end of a game that nobody wants. It's 10-8 to Germany at the moment. The game academic from a tournament point of view. I wonder if we'll see this game continue. They will try and restart as soon as they can, but we'll see how it goes. It's 10-8. It's a 10-8 situation here in the World Games in Birmingham, Alabama. We'll be back as soon as we can be.